Hi, if you like the video, please remember to subscribe.
Hi, Rob from roblandphoto.com, and today we're going to take a quick look at a book I've been looking at recently, which is Tete, Portraits by Henri Cartier Bresson, published by Thames and Hudson. This is another one of my library specials that I've picked up, obviously for free. Well, I do take them back as well. And yeah, a fantastic collection of portraits by one of the masters of black and white portrait photography. Sadly passed away, but we can look back through Henri Cartier Bresson's work and really be inspired by the work he does. Unlike the Robert Capa book I was looking at yesterday, this one is a soft cover, and this one isn't in any particular chronological order. It has a fantastically complicated introduction, which was a bit above me, but among the introduction you have all sorts of drawings that Henri Cartier Bresson did in the later part of his life when he sort of took a step back from photography. But as we move into the real meat of the book, which are the wonderful photographic prints that are reproduced in this great book, and we have all sorts of characters in here, everybody from, I don't know, famous faces you'll know, like Marilyn Monroe, what other famous ones are there, Barbara Hepworth, Truman Capote, old people like that, through to people I've never heard of. And probably the one criticism for the book that I would have is, although the pictures look great and they're fantastic and they reproduce really, really well, it'd be nice to have a little bit more background about the people in the photographs. So for someone who, like me, who doesn't really know that much about these people, it'd have been nice to fill them in. And also maybe a little bit of back history with some of the portrait photography that isn't about famous people, for example shots from Iran, you know, a little bit more of the context about the photographs. But putting that to one side and just looking through the images, prepare to be amazed. I guess Henri is using natural light in all his indoor photographs, and they are works of art. You've got every style of composition here that you could ever want for, and this is a book that you can just have on your bedside table or next to your computer when you've got a spare 5 minutes. Just start looking through the images and you can deconstruct them a little bit if you like. So for example, this picture of Arthur Miller taken in 1961 with his composition that he uses. But there's so many different sort of styles and poses that his people are using. Now, Henri was a proponent of the decisive moment, which meant that he was, if there was a scene to be captured, he would be waiting until all the elements of that scene seemed to come together to that one point when he would then make the decision to press the shutter button and take the photograph. And apparently this is the same way he worked in his portraits as well. So he wouldn't take hundreds and hundreds of pictures of the same person. I'd imagine he would take dozens, but he would be waiting for that time in the portrait session where he felt that the time was right to snap the photographs. We have examples of his early work, for example here in Mexico, you know, right through to some of his later work in the 80s and 90s. And as I say, even though we might not know who the people are in the photographs, you get a real sense of, again I mentioned this with the Capa photographs, a real sense of connection between the viewer and the photographer, but that's different for each individual frame. There's some really beautiful portraits. Just looking through for some of my favourite. That's probably one of my favourite shots of the whole book. In fact, two of them are on this particular page. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. We've got Marilyn Monroe down here. This is a fantastic shot where we can see Marilyn and there's a little dog down there, and then you've got these bystanders looking over into, I guess it may be a TV studio or something, and she's got a real wistful look on her face, and you can sort of, you know, with the history of Marilyn and what happened, we can sort of relate to that. And then we have the British comedian Tony Hancock, again taken in 1962. He's looking a bit scruffy and a little bit worse for the wear, but again you get a really good sense of sort of who he was, and Bresson has really captured that in his portrait. Zoom out a little bit more. And so there's all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's all black and white. It'd be nice to have some colour, but they really are a masterclass in available light photography. There's a really famous one of the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, who obviously abdicated. The way that he's captured the Duke sort of looking at the lady that he gave up the throne for. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Also we've got Samuel Beckett, 64. I think that's one of his daughters. Jean Garnet, Young, Warsaw Ghetto back in 1931. So yeah, I mean, there isn't really much I can really say about this book apart from get it, look at it, and absorb the photos and absorb the compositions, absorb what Henri Cartier Bresson is doing, the way he's capturing sort of the essence of these people. Again, it's available light photography. There's no thousands of different flashes or strobes going off. Good old John Paul Sartre there. There's, he's using the light in particular ways in the poses of the people to make the pictures dynamic and make that connection between the viewer and the subjects in the photo. Brilliant. So there we go, Tete, portraits by Henri Cartier Bresson, introduction by E.H. Gombrich, published by Thames and Hudson. So have a look for it on Amazon, or my recommendation is go down to your local library and get them to order it in for you. Right, thanks, that's Rob from roblonphoto.com.